Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I've tried to make the stream as colourful as possible tonight. It's not going to be a long one tonight because I've got a very busy schedule doing other things at the moment, but I will try and do more streams as I can. It's just unfortunate that I am busy doing other things. So tonight we're chatting about Scotland and their government's controversial anti-women, anti-child safeguarding and badly thought out gender recognition reforms. Scotland seem to have a um, obsession, a trans obsession, and they are just, they won't listen to anyone else except trans groups, apparently, according to what I'm reading. And anybody that tries to speak out against this trans nonsense, the SNP government and particularly Nicola Sturgeon are just not interested. So, tonight we're chatting about this reform, the gender recognition reform, which I'm not really sure has gone to Nicola Sturgeon's the way she actually wanted it, to be quite honest, because there's been a lot of backlash. So this trans activist and Nicola Sturgeon has faced the biggest backlash, in fact, ever, the biggest backbench revolt ever over the transgender gender recognition reforms, with one minister completely throwing the towel in. I mean, let that sink in. It's just absolutely unbelievable that somebody's now resigned. There's been Hello, Amy. How are you doing? I thought I'd make the set very, very colourful today. I'm not going to be able to over the next few weeks. I'm not going to be able to make as many streams because I'm very, very busy doing other things. But hello and welcome to the colourful stream. So tonight we're talking about the trans obsession of Nicola Sturgeon and her government, particularly about the gender recognition reforms, which I don't particularly think has gone as well for Nicola Sturgeon as she would have liked. I mean, she's actually suffered the largest SNP rebellion in the party's 15 years in power, and I predict it will only get worse. You know, this should really concern Nicola Sturgeon and the government. I don't think it will. I don't think she'll take any notice of it for some odd reason. But the brave, courageous Scottish minister Ash Regan, who's held ministerial office since 2018, were the first SNP in history of their devolution government to resign. Resigning on a matter of principle. What a hero, what a great woman, to resign by saying, I don't agree with this. I know she's one of many in the party that doesn't, but this is great. It's great. It's great for women. It's great for child safeguarding, and it's great really to show that Nicola Sturgeon's gender recognition reforms are not really as perfect as she wants to make out. But I think Nicola Sturgeon knows that already. I think there's a reason why she's pushing these reforms through, and I don't think it's certainly not in the interest of Scottish people. But I think there's something behind this, quite sinister, really. The brave and courageous Scottish minister Ash Regan resigns, and she issued the following statement, which a margarita wouldn't go well. Do you know what? I was going to have a cocktail, but instead I'm having a what is it? It's like a tropical fruit in here. I was going to put it in a glass, but I couldn't find any suitable, so I thought I'd stick it in here. But yes, a margarita would be nice, and I'd rather have an alcoholic drink as well. That's not alcohol, so yeah. But let me read this statement now, or this. Let me read this statement. She says, so Ash Regan, who resigned following the gender recognition reforms, has said, I have today taken the difficult decision to resign from my position as Minister of Community Safety, as my conscience would not allow me to vote with the government this evening. I have greatly valued my time in government and regret that I am not able to continue that work. I voted against the Gender Recognition Reform Bill at stage one as the issues of concern that I have held and raised for some time have not been addressed as yet. I am not against reform per se. However, I cannot support any legislation that may have negative implications for the safety and dignity of women and girls. I long believe that principles in politics are important, and that is the case, especially when it is difficult. I will continue to support my constituents as their representative and continue to make the strong case for Scottish independence. You know, what a hero. What a great woman resigning on principle. Fantastic woman, brilliant. Somebody that women should be proud of. My advice to Nicola Sturgeon, you need to listen to your ministers and bin the anti-women, anti-child safeguarding and badly thought out GRC reform bill immediately. Although for some odd reason, like I keep saying, I'm sure that she won't be bothered to listening to a minister. She's refused to listen to a lot of women. She's refused to listen to a lot of women who've suffered male violence, and for this, it is a strange reason why she's not listening. But there we go. Yeah. So what do people out there think about Sturgeon's statement to this resignation? I'm going to read Nicola Sturgeon's statement that she made afterwards, because there is something odd about this. But let me read Nicola Sturgeon's statement. So responding to Miss Regan's resignation, the First Minister said, "As you are aware, a key requirement of the Ministerial Code is collectively responsibility, a principle essentially to effective governance and which applies across all matters of government policy, irrespective of the issue. I note that at no stage have you approached me or indeed the Cabinet Secretary for Social Justice to raise your concerns about the Gender Recognition Reform Bill or the vote this evening." Really? However, in circumstances in which a minister is unable to support the government, it is the case that the only options available are resignation ahead of the vote or dismissal thereafter. Because as many of us out there know, apparently Miss Regan did approach Nicola Sturgeon about this bill, and the evidence of that is quite clear, and that's emerged in the press. So, you know, Nicola Sturgeon appears here to have told, unless I'm missing something, appears to have told porkies, because Miss Regan has indeed expressed and approached Nicola Sturgeon about this bill previously. Quite obviously, she's done that. So I don't know why Nicola Sturgeon has given that sort of statement, but very, very strange. So a total of 7 SNP ministers completely defied, that's the Scottish National Party ministers as well, 7 completely defied the whip and voted against the changes of the controversial gender recognition reform, and 2 others, that's 2 other SNP ministers, abstained. And this isn't really the end of it. It's not really the end of it at all, because other SNP backbenchers, okay, have warned that they may join the revolt at a later stage. Because I don't know whether people know out there that this gender recognition reform is it's going to go through 3 stages before the whole controversial bill is passed. And stage 1, sadly, and it is with regret, to be honest, was passed on Thursday. Just going to have a drink to clear my throat of my tropical drink in the shaker. Okay, yeah. So it's very, very concerning that this bill has been passed, because there's a lot of Scottish women, you know, in Scotland that are concerned about it, and guys standing up for women. There's a lot of ministers expressing concerns. Well, I mean, you know, this is the biggest SNP revolt in history. since she came to power. So it is the biggest revolt. So, there's obviously, people can surely see that there's serious concerns over this bill, like I can, but a Scottish Tory MSP, Rachel Hamilton, who opposed it on the panel and who was a member of the committee which scrutinised the bills, she was deeply concerned about this bill. So it's not just the SNP that are concerned, it's Tory MPs, it's other MPs that are concerned as well, Scottish MPs. There's a lot of people that are seriously concerned, to go to this extent. So yeah, I mean, the people of Scotland, as I say, the many SNP ministers, it now seems, don't want this reform bill to be passed as it is. Many people have took to Twitter to condemn the bill with the hashtag. There were various hashtags trending. One of those was no to self-ID, but there was another one that was trending as well. This is my no, and people were putting no on the hand. And I noticed so many people in Scotland and across the world started to, but particularly in Scotland, were putting the photograph up saying, no, we don't want this bill passing. It's really worrying why it's gone this far, really. So the great British icon J.K. Rowling applauded the SN minister Ash Regan on her resignation over the anti-women Scottish gender reform bill. I mean, that's hats off to this woman. She's really stood her ground, and she's really shown that it's not really SNP that all members of the SNP are not supporting this bill. So I think there's going to be a lot of problems for Nicola Sturgeon with this bill. It's Nicola Sturgeon really needs to scrap the bill completely, to be honest. So why is the Scottish gender recognition bill so controversial? Well, all the people, there's hundreds and thousands of people condemning it. You've now got the biggest SNP revolt in the 15 years. So that's firstly why it's controversial, but it's, this type of legislation has failed and been binned in other parts of the United Kingdom because it's no good. You know what I mean? It's very, very clear that this legislation isn't any good at all. And it basically means that it just will allow any man in Scotland to change their legal sex by simply signing a declaration. This is very concerning to women. It's very concerning to child safeguarding. It's very concerning to, women's spaces. It's concerning to LGBT spaces. It's concerning, really. It's got a massive concerns to every other group's rights, everybody's rights. It's actually got a concern to heterosexual men's rights as well. If you actually look into how crap this legislation is, but we won't go into that. It's it also, it's the ministers as well. And people across Scotland this is why everybody's concerned, because it's just a draft piece of legislation that really has not been thought through properly. It will also include 16 and 17-year-olds be able to change their gender by just signing something and saying, "Oh, I'm a woman now." Real big problems, massive problems, and I think we're going to see this in the next few days, few weeks about this bill being passed. We're going to see that. It's very obvious to me that with a big Scottish revolt like this, that there clearly is something terribly wrong with this legislation. We've not just got the women that are complaining. We've not just got, people on Twitter complaining. We've got the biggest Scottish revolt in 15 years that are saying, no, we don't want this legislation in, and it shouldn't be brought in. It's as simple as that. And it'd be really cruel to women and sad if it was. Women across Scotland are rightfully concerned and scared and appalled at Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP for trying to bring in such a cruel and inhumane piece of legislation. I'm seeing people regularly, women on Twitter are regularly talking to MPs talking to other people, saying that they're scared about this legislation, they're scared of what it entails, they're scared of what it's going to do to them, and they're scared of what it's going to do to their daughters and younger sisters. It really is deeply concerning. So feminists, including the British icon J.K. Rowling, rightfully said the changes pose a risk to women and girls, which they do, and saying that the new system of allowing any man in Scotland to become a woman by simply signing the declaration can also be abused by predatory men to gain access to women's spaces, including prisons, women's changing rooms, and hospital wards. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely right. I mean, it's very, very it's very, very concerning. What this piece of legislation is going to allow predators to do. Really, I mean, it really is worrying. If you do hear any fireworks as well, there are fireworks going off further down the beach. There's also a car park where you might hear some car horns as well. Just bear with it. There seems to be a party if you can hear the fireworks now. Don't worry, everything is normal here on the beach. So there we go. What's certain out of this, there is massive opposition to this controversial Scottish gender reform bill, and I think we're going to see more and more people speaking out saying, no, we don't want this. And I do hope, like I say, it doesn't get passed. If anyone has anything else to say about this highly controversial Scottish gender reform bill, please do let me know in the comments, because I think it's important that we bring it into the forefront. It's important that we talk about it on social media. It's important as well that if you live in Scotland, please do contact your MP. Sometimes it makes a difference when you actually contact your MP. If they get so many people that are against it, and it might change other MPs. I think there are a lot of MPs, SNPs particularly, who are anybody's going to be concerned about this bill. Anybody can see it's wrong. Anybody can see something's not right. So MPs, the MSPs, the Scottish MPs, already know that something isn't right. They already know that. They already know that this bill is not worth the paper it's written on. They know there's something's going to be wrong with this bill. It's worrying why they're allowing such a bill. It's concerning, and really and truly, I think it's cruelty. But a lot of women, particularly, are very, very worried about the implications. This shouldn't have been allowed. This shouldn't have been allowed to even get to the first stage, let alone this. And I really hope that it doesn't get in. And I really do call on the British government, the government in the Westminster, okay, I really hope that they will fight against this bill if it ever got passed. So I think that's the thing, that it's going to be a real tough one to get past for Nicola Sturgeon as well. I mean, she's already in the first stage if it had the biggest revolt in the 15 years history since the devolved government. I think she's going to have problems all the way through it. And then when it finally does get if it does get passed, she's going to have the Westminster that I'm sure will pretty much have things to say about it and probably fight against it, because it is really not in the interests of Scottish people. It's not in the interests of the United Kingdom what she's doing. It's not in the interests of anybody to bring in this controversial gender reform bill that as it is. So I want to move now on to Scotland's trans lunacy, which is actually harming its young inhabitants of Scotland. We've got a real big problem in Scotland with these gender clinics. And as we know, Scotland is awfully trans obsessed, or should I say Nicola Sturgeon and the Scottish government is awfully trans obsessed for some odd reason. And I think it definitely is an odd reason. But the Sandyford Gender Clinic, which keeps rearing its head in the press, because indeed it mirrors that of the disgraced Tavistock in London. As many of you know, after the CAS report that that highlighted the Tavistock was just unsafe for kids, and now the Tavistock has been closed down. Um, my question is, why hasn't the Sandyford Gender Clinic faced any scrutiny yet? I mean, it's very clearly doing the same things as the Tavistock. We know that people are complaining. We know that people are angry. We know there are angry people. We know that some have claimed that the Sandyford Gender Clinic has harmed them, because we're seeing it in the press. People are complaining because they go into the press, they're highlighting their stories, and yet, the Sandyford Gender Clinic simply haven't yet faced any scrutiny. They've not faced any investigations. Um, it's worrying, really. Why? It's worrying where the Scottish government are going. But I think, we should at least investigate what's happening in the Sandiford Clinic and close it. But we know that gender clinics across Scotland are secretly using extreme guidelines with a controversial trans group called WPATH. It's WPATH for short. It's the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. And this is despite the fact that the NHS and the Scottish government have denied this. So let's put that into perspective. That this Sandyford Gender Clinic is taking advice from a controversial trans group called the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, and yet the NHS and the Scottish government are denying this. This sounds to me extremely dodgy. So you can see that things are really, really not right. Um, clearly, it's quite worrying. So the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which is WPATH for short, we call it WPATH for short, is indeed a very controversial group. It's actually more like it's actually a lobbying group. I mean, I don't think we can call it an organization. It's just a lobbying group. It's a group that's lobbying, to get kids medicalized, to get trans medicine out there for everybody. Um, which is, but it's been done in a very unscrupulous way, and it's done in a way where you can see kids have been harmed. They want kids in having sex changes, which you can't have a sex change, and we all know that it's ruining their bodies. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what this government is pushing for. It says teenage. I mean, this group openly says that teenagers should be able to access sex change surgery without parents' consent, which is very worrying. And now we go for another firework, the celebrations. This is a gender critical celebrations. Actually, there's been a lot of good news in the last couple of weeks, apart from the bad news in Scotland, of course. But there's been quite a lot of good news that's been going on. We've got Elon Musk, who's purchased Twitter, which I'll go into in a minute. But there's been quite a lot of good news. So we're having the gender critical party. Okay, so all the fireworks at the gender critical party. I'm missing it because I'm on the stream, but I'll be joining them shortly. Right. So yeah, I mean, this is what the World Professional Association for Transgender Health have come under a lot of stick, really, and scrutiny, and rightfully. They're not. They deeply worry me. They're an organisation that deeply worry me and many other people, and yet they're the ones that where this gender clinic, this Sandyford Gender Clinic is using their guidelines. Worrying, but then the NHS and the Scottish government are denying it. It's like, come on, what's going on here? So I think, really and truly, the Sandyford Gender Clinic really does need to start facing scrutiny as soon as possible, and it needs to be investigated. The Sandyford Gender Clinic needs to be investigated. It's as simple as that. Right. So yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's time. I'm calling for an investigation of the Sandyford Clinic. It's time Nicola Sturgeon called for an investigation of the Sandyford Gender Clinic. It will be the right thing to do. It's time now the Sandyford Clinic was investigated. It's time. Let's do another. Let's do get Cass to do, the Dr. Cass to do a report on the Sandyford Clinic. It's as simple as that. Let's just see what, because there's so much. This is dodgy. It's clearly something's not right here. Anybody can see that. Clearly something isn't right. But will Sturgeon's Tavistock, as we're calling it, it's been nicknamed Sturgeon's Tavistock. Will it be investigated and shut down like the one in London? I mean, will it? Because as we know, the Tavistock in London has been closed down because it's unfit for children. It's not safe for children. We need to really investigate what's going off in the Sandyford clinic as well. We need to sort this out. This needs sorting out. This is dodgy. Something's wrong. Something is wrong at the Sandyford Gender Clinic, and it needs to be rectified immediately. Okay, so I was just saying that we've had a good news in the world of child safeguarding and women's rights, and in the gender critical world, as I call it, because I openly admit I'm gender critical. I don't really sex, over gender. It's not really. It's sex, not gender. We need to get back to reality. And we've got so what does everyone think about Elon Musk buying Twitter? I mean, I've got to be honest. I will admit from the start, I did not think that Elon Musk would purchase Twitter. Okay, I didn't think he would have purchased it in the first place. When he backed out, I thought he backed out for good. I had absolutely no idea, and I was really shocked when it came out that he bought it. And he now owns Twitter. I was quite shocked. So that was shocked. The question is, I mean, it's tweeted out that the bird is free. Do you think out there that Twitter will be freer? Will Elon Musk do the right thing? Do you think that Elon Musk will reverse the lifetime bans for the many doctors? Because many doctors have been banned from Twitter. Celebrities. I mean, this is the thing that shocked me about Twitter, that so many celebrities are banned from Twitter. Is Elon Musk gonna, will he reverse these lifetime bans for these celebrities, doctors? We've got gay men who've been banned from Twitter. We've got women that have been banned from Twitter for simply speaking about their rights. We've got lesbians who are banned from Twitter for simply complaining about people invading their spaces. We've lots of reasons that lesbians are fighting at the moment in the trans world. They're fighting against all this nonsense that's coming out, and they've been banned from Twitter. And we're talking about a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of people being banned because I'm on these other sites. So I'm on sites like Minds, Gab, Parler, GETTR, and as you know, when I was banned, when I had my account locked out from Twitter, I went on to GETTR and used it like my Twitter. And there are so many doctors on there. There's so many celebrities on there. There's so many women on there that are banned, and gay men and lesbians, and even lots of people that are banned. And it's what really made GETTR. That's why there is. I think there is 5 or 6 million. It might even be 7 now. Million people on GETTR simply because they've been banned from Twitter. So will Elon Musk, unban these people? Will he unban the greats like Maya Forstater, for instance, icon in the United Kingdom, a wonderful woman? Will Elon Musk unban? And I think she's not banned permanently, but she's got her account locked because she's speaking up for women's rights and child safeguarding. Will Elon Musk do this? It's a very, very good question. Let me know in the comments. Do you think he'll do the right thing? I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether he will. I think the problem is he's got to, this is, has he bought a sinking ship, or has he bought a major money making social media platform as it was? I'm not sure. I don't know whether whether it will work or whether it won't work. It seems to me that you can speak a lot more freer on Twitter in the last couple of days. I've seen a lot more people saying exactly what a trans woman is. I've seen a lot more people explaining exactly what Eddie Izzard is. and that's not nice, but it's very true. Will it happen? You know, well, when I say will that happen, will we be able to carry on speaking free? Will we be able to start speaking the truth? And will all the people that have been banned for no reason at all, you know, will they, you know, I mean, to be quite honest, many of the I've seen a lot. The reason I say that people have been banned for no reason at all, I've seen a lot of the tweets of where people have received permanent bans. And I know it might be, you know, a few tweets down the line, but they just done nothing. It's really nothing that they've actually done. So I'm going to read what you've said, Amy. So you said, so Amy says that I do not like or trust Elon and have tweeted about that before. However, I have no idea how he will change Twitter, but at this point in time, one of the very few people who could. Continued. Like I say, I'm not saying I don't like Elon. I don't, you know, I'm not, it's not, you know, I'm indifferent to Elon. It's not, I don't like him or dislike him. But I really have no idea I was going to change Twitter as well, because I think the problem is that Twitter became a sinking ship, and it became a sinking ship because the advertisers, okay, said that, you know, a lot of the advertisers that are on Twitter are woke, and they don't like people like me. Apparently, they don't like people like me speaking out for women's rights and children's safeguarding, because it upsets trans people. You know, it doesn't actually, to be honest, it doesn't actually upset trans people. It upsets a trans lobby, of which most people in the trans lobby are not actually trans. So, I mean, I'm not really sure it does upset that many trans people. In fact, trans people are horrified at what the actual trans lobby, which is made up of non-trans people mainly, are actually doing to their reputation, as it was. So let me continue. You said, who could buy or take over Twitter? It would be Elon Musk, and somebody with money and power needed to sort it out. And that's right. I mean, he is one of the only people really who's got the money to actually take over Twitter. And yeah, I mean, you know, try to change it. And I think that's his intention, is try to change it. But is he going to change it for the fact that we can now speak the truth, and that people who have been banned for nothing, like doctor? I mean, I can't believe the amount of doctors that have been banned from Twitter. This is, I mean, you go on GETTR and they're all over, and it shocked the life out of me how these woke moderators just banned doctors from Twitter. And the celebrities. I mean, it was becoming, you know, it started off, these few celebrities got banned, and then you go on GETTR and you got loads of celebrities on GETTR. You know, it's. I always said that, you know, if you could get some celebrities over on GETTR, it'd start taking off, and it did. But you're right. He's a. If anybody can pull Twitter out of the mess that it's in, it's Elon. But the question is he going to do the right thing? Or is he not going to do the right thing, and he's just going to carry on, you know, allowing Twitter to moderate, carry on banning people, carry on silencing people like me? Oh, and really and truly, all I'm doing is speaking up for women's rights. I'm speaking up for child safeguarding, and I'm speaking up for LGBT rights. I'm not really. I don't hate trans people. You know, I wish trans people well. If people want to cross dress, if people want to do what they want, it's none of my business. When it becomes my business, okay, and when it's wrong, is when I've got to affirm your identity. If I've got to affirm your identity, if underage children have got to affirm your identity, then something is wrong with your identity. You know, if you're a man and you do what you want with your body, it's up to you. You know, provided that you're in the right frame of mind, you're not a child, okay, and you know what you're doing. But you see, the thing that I worry about, and the reason I speak up in child safeguarding, is I'm very, very concerned about 12-year-olds who are mentally ill, or they're autistic, or they've been sexually abused in some way, or, you know, there's various reasons that go to these clinics like the Tavistock, and they put on puberty blockers. And it's just like, well, hang on a minute, that I'm not really sure that child should be making that decision. So actually, the person that's making that decision is not the child, it's the parents. The parents are making that decision for a child to ruin their life. And puberty blockers, as we know, are not reversible. Puberty blockers have side effects, which is all coming out now. You see, all this was covered up, but it's not. So that's why I'm concerned about child safeguarding. If you want to be trans, it's up to you, but you shouldn't expect me to affirm your identity. If you want to be trans, that's fine, but you shouldn't really be invading women's sports and stealing medals, for instance, or using that platform. And certainly, as a fully fledged male with just wearing women's clothes, you shouldn't be accessing the changing rooms. And I've got a concern, and I'm speaking up for women's rights, I'm speaking up for children's rights, and I'm speaking up for LGBT rights, and all these rights are being affected in quite cruel and horrible ways. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'll continue to do. I don't hate trans people. I never have done. In fact, I fought for trans people years ago. I've met trans people. No issue with me, but I'm not having you ruining my rights. I'm not having you ruining women's rights. I'm not having it ruining children's rights. And I do accept that we are talking about a trans lobby, and I do accept that this trans lobby is not okay. It's predominantly non-trans people who are ruining the reputations of trans people, if you like. That's it. But I will carry on speaking out. Because I'm busy over the next few weeks, I'm really, really busy doing other things. I'm not going to be able to do the streamings that I have been doing. There won't be a stream on Wednesday. I may not be able to do a stream on Saturday. If I can, I will, or if I can pick another day, I will. So just bear with me until I get back to normal. But this is going to be a few weeks before I can get back to normal. So I wanted to just say that I wanted to give a big thank you for everybody watching the stream tonight, and the people who watch it afterwards, and the people who watch it on other platforms, and people who are watching it in a few months' time, and 10 years' time, and 20 years' time. Thank you for watching it. Really appreciative. Please do like and follow, like wherever you're seeing this stream, please do like it, and do follow my channel wherever you're watching this. Because if you want to know of my next stream, when it is, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, okay, which is where this is streamed initially, and then if you hit the bell, you'll be notified of the next stream. So yep, I'm going to end the stream now, and I will be back very, very soon. Thank you, Amy, for joining me again, and all the rest of the people that came in and out on this stream. I will see you very, very soon. Hopefully it will be in the next couple of weeks, but thank you again, and goodbye.